Hello, welcome back to the Good, Bad and Stupid News. It's Friday, August the 30th, is episode 29. Available on iTunes, remember, if you want to listen to it on podcast. Also available on YouTube, obviously, if that's where you're watching it anyway. Will be available on other places as of next week, as soon as I figure out which ones and how to do it. Some people are already listening to it on Spotify, apparently, even though I've not even put it on there yet, so I don't know how that's happened, but all good. Might have saved me a headache of trying to figure out how to do it, but hopefully it'll be available on Spotify next week as well. Going to get straight on with it because I'm running a bit late because of an impromptu trip to the dump this morning, and what was a few bags of rubbish turned into a van full of spiders, and it's not been a pretty situation. So if anybody sees, and a lot of them have disappeared, and some of them didn't look like spiders I've seen before. You know, some of these kind of South American looking ones that you keep reading about in the papers. You know, all sorts of colours. And if anything appears on my shoulder or in my hair during this recording, then please scream, let me know. Smoke signals, however you want to get in touch with me, let me know, because although I'm not scared of spiders, I'm scared of dying. So as I said, some of these spiders didn't look like they were the nice easy to deal with British spiders that I'm used to. So must be all the weird and wonderful things that are in my garage. Because anyway, we'll talk about that another time because we've got to get on. Big news. The main news of the week, obviously, is the Parliament suspension. Not going to dwell on that one too much, but just going to repeat what Hugh Grant has had to say on the matter, because I thought it was quite funny. He's tweeted a message to Boris Johnson, or a message at Boris Johnson, and it read simply, "You will not fuck with my children's future. You will not destroy the freedoms my grandfather fought 2 world wars to defend. Fuck off, you over-promoted rubber bath toy. Britain is revolted by you and your gang of masturbatory prefects." Well, I couldn't have put it better myself. That was very eloquently put, Hugh Grant. Rubber bath toy, it's got to be one of the best insults I've heard thrown at Boris Johnson. You can actually see it as well, can't you? A fucking rubber Boris Johnson bath toy. So if you want a business idea, jump on that right now. It's going to be short-lived, but a bobbing little Boris Johnson bobbing up and down in your bath water, and and his little gang of masturbatory prefects. Definitely way above my vocabulary range. I wouldn't have been able to come out with that, so I'm learning a lot as I go with myself. That would just be, in my vocabulary, a bunch of wankers. So he's very eloquently put that. Shows you can swear without it sounding too, well, you can swear and make it sound interesting. I don't know whether I do that too many times. I swear plenty, but I don't think I sound as well spoken as Hugh Grant comes out with there. Going to move on to another tweet here, which charity boss who caused outrage online, claiming that a cheap Chinese meal that he prepared showed food poverty was just idleness. Oh, just idleness. But anyway, he's apologised because he's got drilled on social media for coming out with it. He basically made chicken and noodles. He said he bought chicken for £2.35 and noodles for 24p. Made a meal and then said, "There you go, food poverty." I mean, why bother going to the fucking effort to? I mean, it's the shittest meal going anyway. Chicken and fucking, what's it called? Super noodles. You ain't like fucking MasterChef, are you really? But somebody's called him out and said, "Live on that for a year and get back to me with your scurvy, your rickets, your lack of fruit and veg, and hopefully a dent in your enormous sense of entitlement." Why he's felt he had to come out and do that when he's a charity boss? You know, why be a charity boss if your mind is that way inclined anyway? You're obviously in the wrong line of business, aren't you? Because it's not about the... Of course, people can make chicken and noodles. They might have no money left over after making it. One guy has said he's got £3.89. Oh, sorry, that £3.89 is £3 a day more than he gets from his universal credit. So obviously he can't make his chicken and noodles. and you're putting yourself in an awkward position, slagging off people who go to food banks because you're slagging off the wrong people. People are already embarrassed or in a place where they don't want to be going to the food bank anyway. So to come out and chastise them when, and also somebody else has said, have you taken into the account the cost of the electric pan, spoon, bowl, roof, head, hob, and all that kind of bullshit? So yeah, anyway, he's got drilled on there, so he's had to come out and apologise. And yeah, I don't know if he had to apologise, just didn't have to say it in the first place, did he? As I said, you're meant to be a charity worker, so pick and choose, either help people or shut up and go away. Take a hint out of Bradley Wiggins' book. Bradley Wiggins has come out again. Well, he's talking this week, isn't he, about he's becoming a social worker. He's basically talking about the things he grew up around on the council estate, the things he saw, which is standard growing up on a lot of rough housing estates, like seeing somebody stabbed and murdered early in his life, and other situations, but also the fact that he also had to deal with bullies because of the kind of career that he was going for with the bikes and wearing lycra and stuff like that. He would get a lot of shit for it, but he kept to his path, and he and believed in himself, or believed in something, even though he thought he didn't know where it was going to go, and look where he went. But my point is that he's now becoming a social worker. He doesn't have to. He doesn't need to do anything like that. So that's where the champion. That's bigger of a champion than all your medals, isn't it? So take a hint out of that book, Mr. Fucking Chicken Noodle Man. As I said, Bradley Wiggins doesn't have to go and help anybody. He's got his money. He's got his TV career. He's got everything he wants ahead of him if he wants it. But he's giving something back and doing something the other way around. So good for him. What's this guy here? A guy has a picture. There's a guy here who I've seen people take mattresses on the top of their cars when they take him to the dump or moving them when they haven't got a van or whatever else. But this guy's taking the biscuit when he's taking his Skoda on the top of his Volkswagen Passat. What's he doing? He's driving. So he basically strapped a car on top of another car. How the fuck he got it up there in the first place? And surely you would just think that's just going to damage the car underneath, isn't it? And the other car on the top is like, where's he taking it? Taking a wrecked car to a scrapyard on an industrial estate. Well, he's not fucking too clued up really there, is he? You just got to ring a scrap man, ain't you? Ring a scrap man, they come and take it. They'd have been fucking well happy to take a car worth of metal. Yeah, you've gone to the effort of raising it up and put it on top of your car roof, and now he's been fined £195 for driving dangerously. How he didn't see that coming, I'll never know. It's hardly like you're going to be able to go under the radar. When you see somebody with a mattress on the top, you think, fuck you now, idiot, or whatever else, because they're over the lane, aren't they? They're kind of like bouncing into other people's lanes. I've had people with planks of wood and they're facing the wrong way. People don't... they're just not used to, what's it called? Spatial awareness, should I say. But he's somehow thought it was clever to put a car on top of his own car. Probably damaging his own car and ended up with 2 scrap cars. Anyway, we talked about the bird, what's it called? The Brown Booby yesterday, the bird. The Mexican bird that's over here. And I said that the bird watchers come out in force. And look at them, they're like, you think the Brown Booby was somebody from the fucking royal family or on the red carpet or something. Look, you can see there all the bird watchers there, like they're at the royal birth of a royal child or something. They're all on ladders and all sorts of shit there. You can't see that obviously on the podcast, but imagine a load of like die-hard bird watchers with all the best equipment all lined up, trying to probably fighting each other and everything. I bet elbowing, muscling in on each other, trying to get the best shot of the Brown Booby. He never knew he was so popular. He's on holiday from Mexico and he's getting fucking. He's like getting papped. He's going to piss off back over there and say, "Fucking don't go to England," to his pals. if you want a peaceful break. Maybe he's come over on one of those hot thermals and he's probably thinking, where the fuck am I? Am I going to get back to Mexico? If you don't fly over Balmoral Estate or where the Royals are with their shotguns and shoot you out the fucking sky thinking you're a grouse or something or other. Airport drugs bust. Airports have busted a guy because he had a suitcase of white powder. Again, another brainless fucking act. I mean, if you're going to say... it's innocent because he's taken a load of vegan cake mix, substitute egg, and he's taken this vegan cake mix, a suitcase full of it, through to Brighton's Purezza vegan pizzeria. I've eaten there. It's really good pizza. But basically, he's bought a suitcase of it. I'm trying to see where it's come from here. He's at Gatwick Airport anyway, and they've searched his bag. He's got bags and bags and bags of white powder. It doesn't take fucking 2 and 2 to figure out that what they're going to come up with if they've searched your bag there, have they? You know what I mean? But he ended up being let go after hours of fucking around, and they didn't take it off him, but they had to check it all and do all the business. But they thought they had like a multi-kilogram drug bust. It's just some guy bringing bloody vegan cake mix through the airport. Surely, is that how you? I didn't know that's how you make these pizzas. The place that I've been to, it's really quite a nice restaurant and stuff. But your food's been smuggled in through the fucking airport in suitcases, because that can't be the first time he's done it, can he? I'll give him an idea, but I won't now. He's probably got away with that loads of times. Good job he didn't think, oh, I could fucking do this with cocaine as well. He's been stopped in his tracks now, hasn't he? So, but there you go. You can't even do that. In England, you can come and back. You see people like on them programmes, didn't you? Carrying suitcases full of fucking rotten fish and stuff to some of the Chinese restaurants or other... exotic food restaurants. You go into Australia, you can't get a bloody seed in your bag into Australia. You get sprayed on the plane like you're some kind of bacteria. You get sprayed with some spray that kills any bugs on you. You're almost like been quarantined before you've even landed in Australia. I don't think you fucking get very far with a bag full of food going that way, but you seem to be able to come and go with you as you please in England. Obviously not that time, because he's been probably what's it called, X-ray the bag and thought, fucking hell, it must be over 500 kilos there. A dad has woke up. A dad thought his home was being burgled because of the din outside his house, but he turned out to find out that there was a load of runaway cows who were eating his garden. Basically, they ran away from hopefully from an abattoir somewhere in the area, but he woke up and found that they decided that his garden was the place that they wanted to chill out. It was surreal, wasn't it? Opening your window and finding that your garden's just turned into a farm overnight. Where was they? Anybody missing any cows? The cattle had strayed 2/3 of a mile from a field from his house in Waddington, Lancashire. A farmer came to collect them within a few hours, so unfortunately they've had to go back to a life of misery. They should have just kept moving. See where they ended up. Could have ended up, where were they? Lancashire. Just keep walking. They could have ended all the way up to Land's End. The sponsored cows walk or something or other. I don't know where I'm going with that one, but so let's move on. There's a randy couple. Let's go from cows to randy couples. A randy couple have been filmed having sex in an outdoor meeting pod at one of the country's most prestigious business parks. Well, are they on the dinner break? Is it illegal? Is it illegal to have sex on your dinner break? I'm not sure. That's something we might have to explore in a future episode. The middle-aged pair, they have to sort of drop it in, paint the picture. Middle-aged pair, that's not Not painting a pretty sexual picture there, is it? Was spotted romping in the middle of the morning during the 30-degree heatwave. The man stripped off his shirt while his partner hoisted her dress before they romped. Okay, now somebody's proper spying on them, ain't they? I mean, it's a glass pod, to be fair. It's like one of those things on the London Eye, but you can see all the way through. It's a bit brazen, but maybe they're doing their mile eye business. But they may have thought that they were getting away with it. Chiswick Park. What is it? A business pod? Pods are available for companies. For all they know, the head of Sony could easily have booked it for them to walk out next. Anyway, they weren't doing anybody any harm other than the person who has been taking the photo. They're all quite comfy, to be fair. They've got sofas and everything in there, so I can see why the attraction might be to sort of, get saucy in there. But unfortunately, smartphones are everywhere. You can't get away with that stuff without coming out on social media somewhere or other. So you've got to be a bit careful, especially if you're married. Are you two together? Maybe his heads are going to roll after that photo's come out. Speaking of heads rolling, airline boss axed for calling BA cabin crew fat and scruffy. So the BA cabin crew boss, an airline boss, has actually been sacked after chastising the cabin crew. So unfortunately that one backfired. She said that she started slagging off for having unpolished shoes, holes in tights, too tight uniform, double chins. I mean, those other things you can kind of get away with, talking about uniforms, but then you're going on to double chin, rotten teeth, messy hair. So she's starting to get a bit personal then, isn't she? She's fucking rock digging them. Anyway, she's tweeted this stuff or put it out on Facebook, and she's ended up getting the sack for it. So there you go. You want to be a bitch, you've ended up being a bitch without a job. So you've got to think twice before you go and social media. You're against social media. Can't get away with shit like that. I spoke yesterday about this is all random. I've put these in no kind of order because I was in a rush this morning. So I spoke yesterday about Queen, Freddie Mercury appearing. Somebody saying that Freddie Mercury's face appeared in their pork chop, and I said it looked nothing like it. And in the papers today, they've gave out a list of different other people that have seen, found people's faces appearing in their food. One of them being, and I've got to say, it's quite a good likeness. It's that one there. It's somebody in their bacon saying that the face looked like Elvis Presley, and actually it does. It does look like Elvis Presley. But all the other ones, I fuck knows, don't know where they're coming from with it. And that one there, they've said is some sportsman. I actually thought it was Paul McCartney in somebody's Danish bun. It looks a bit like Paul McCartney, doesn't it? So if somebody said that, I'd go, fucking hell, you're right as well. That looks like one of the Beatles. So there you go. That's when news is slow. Send you pictures of food that looks with a little odd mark on it, and just try and think of somebody that it looks like. Maybe it looked like Katie Price or what's it called? Bear Grylls. Bear Grylls has had his. He got stung by a bee, nearly died after having an anaphylactic shock while filming his latest survival series. I don't know if apparently he's allergic to bees, and he was stung, and somebody had to fucking dig him with one of those pens to save him. But I thought, no, it can't have been that bad, because they said they thought he might have a funny turn. But there was a picture, I haven't got it here, but there's a picture of him, and his face looks like fucking blown up, like a bit like that. Although this is actually, I've got a picture of something they look like. That's actually Katie Price after a facelift, but I'm using it to show what Bear Grylls' face looked like after a near anaphylactic shock off a bee sting. So that's how ridiculous, that ridiculous looking face is what Bear Grylls looked like after his anaphylactic shock. So luckily he survived, but it's another story for him, isn't it? He runs a survival program. It's kind of irony, isn't it? He's like runs a survival program, then gets stung, but was it a bee that was like a jungle bee? You know, would it have happened off any other bee or whatever else? I don't know. But if you're in those situations, anything can get you, can't you? You can be tough as nails, and then the slightest thing, eat the wrong thing, stub your toe on a fucking poisonous plant, whatever else. It's all dangerous out in the jungles. Anyway, he's lived to fight another day, and hopefully his face will decrease from looking like Katie Price's facelift sometime soon and get back to normal. Another guy with his face bashed up, it probably looks a bit like Katie Price's face as well, is a suspected thief that was lying bleeding on the ground from a head wound after being caught by a bodybuilder that he'd nicked, stole off him twice, taking his car, and then also spending £300 on his bank cards that must have been in his car. But the geezer that caught him was a bodybuilder. He's caught him and he's beat him up, or he said he's had a accidental harsh bike crash into him, and it was blurred out. But there's a guy lying on the floor. Looks like his face has got all blood on it, but also looks like he's got no shoes on. So perhaps the bodybuilder there has took his brand new trainers or nicked his shoes off him that he might have bought with his credit card. So there you go. Crime might pay once in a while, but it certainly doesn't pay when you're being embarrassed by somebody catching you and giving you fucking what you deserve, should I say. So hopefully you'll think twice about that. That's like the old thing that the old coppers used to be able to do, didn't they? Give you a slap in the street or whatever. You can't do that now, so unfortunately you have to pretend you've had a bike ride. And well, he has had a bike ride. He accidentally smashed into him with his bike and beat him up that way, but maybe used the baseball bat bike. Top chefs such as Gordon Ramsay could end up looking like Marge Simpson in a bizarre bid to prevent hairs getting into our food. They're talking about people who work in the kitchen should have their hair dyed blue so that they're easily detected before the food goes out because of all the compensation culture. Who's making compensation? If your food comes with a hair in it, you send it back in disgust, don't you, and get your money back or swap your dinner. You can't make a compensation claim, go home, unless they're going home and saying that they feel ill or are dying or something or other from it. I mean, how can you make a compensation claim from a hair in your? It's not nice. It's not nice at all. I've found a hair in my food once, and it puts you right off. Fucking. You don't even want to have another one back, do you? You just want to just fucking leave it. And everybody else who took it into their nice meals and everything, and you've ended up with somebody's greasy bloody hair lock in there. And there's loads of little stories here about people having finding. Well, somebody said my egg foo young looked like it had been made in a barber shop. So it looks like somebody's done that one on purpose. If it's fucking that much in there, they're sprinkling the hair in it. So maybe you're not a well-liked person. And they went straight along to the council and complained. So I suppose there are people out there who are willing to take it ridiculously far. They won't let it lie. The hair in my soup, I'm going to fucking spend the next 6 months on this. Letters, complaints, TV appearances. Anyway, I should do what they do at Cadbury's. Like my mate works at Cadbury's, and they have to wear a facial. He has to wear a hairnet, and then on the face they even have to wear like a hairnet for your beard. So if you're can be asked to have a beard, I just wouldn't have a beard in that situation. If you can be asked to have a beard, you've got to wear this ridiculous bloody hairnet over it to stop any hair getting into the chocolate. So there you go. There's your answer. I don't have to you don't have to dye your hair blue or anything like that. Speaking of compensation claims for that, there was another guy who's just making a claim in America. He's trying to put a claim in saying that he found a rat in his peanut butter, a squashed up flat rat, and he said that he could tell what it was just because he could see a little finger and a little hand. I didn't know rats had fingers, but he said he had rats and whatever else, and he found it in this peanut butter thing. And he said, now he's trying to put a compensation claim. He's saying, we're not dying, but we couldn't move. And we kept getting indigestion after we ate our sandwiches, like acid reflux. And so he's basically trying to say how ill he's been now after the fact. But the people who own the peanut butter company have said there's no way that could be possible because of the way that they blast the jars before, let's say. He's saying there's a hand, leg, backbone and a head. I can't remember. They're saying that they blast it into the jars anyway. There's no way that a rat could ever get in there. So they're saying that he put it in there, and now he's pretending to be ill. So compensation culture in America, you probably get big bucks for that. You just never know, do you? He's made the news now, so he's definitely going to get paid. He's made my news. Nobody's even watching mine, so it's not going to help him. Right, going to finish up on the last few things here. John Travolta was terrified once when he found a fan. So he's found a rat in his peanut butter. John Travolta found a fan in his wardrobe. A fan had broken into his house and hid in his wardrobe. He said he spoke about it because he's now playing an obsessed fan in a film called The Fanatic. So he's brought back memories of when he had this strange encounter. He said he lived in Santa Barbara about 30 years ago. Someone snuck into his house and he opened the closet and there she was. He said it did scare him, but she was a girl who wanted to meet me and didn't know how to do it. Well, surely, there's something wrong with her, isn't there? Everybody knows you can't just fucking jump out of somebody's wardrobe and go, can you sign me fucking tits? Or something, you know what I mean? Was she in his wardrobe? She just waited for him to turn up at the house outside, couldn't she? So anyway, it wasn't life-threatening, but it just shows how strange. She thinks that's a totally normal thing to do. And he said that having fans outweighs, he doesn't mind having fans outweighs the negatives, because being a star, he's got a golden ticket all over the world. So signing a few autographs and taking a few pictures is not a big price to pay. So nice guy. He's a fucking pilot and everything, isn't he? So he gets all over the world with that as well. But the only downside of John Travolta is he's a bloody Scientologist. It always leaves an element of doubt, doesn't it? Because they're off their head. They're off the wall. You're off the wall if you're watching this. But apart from that, he seems totally fine and totally normal. Unless he tried to convert her. Maybe she's one of his disciples now. Who knows? Right, Elvis Presley's quiff was voted the most iconic hairdo, followed by Amy Winehouse's beehive, Bob Marley's dreadlocks, and Jennifer Aniston's Rachel. Jennifer Aniston's Rachel, from Friends. I don't even remember that being much of an iconic hairstyle anyway. Can I think of an iconic hairstyle in the next 10 seconds because I've got to move on? No. What about Michael Jackson's when he had his hair burnt at the sides when his hair set on fire? That was iconic at that period, wasn't it? People were actually fucking burning their own hair to make it look like his, so it was catching on. It was catching fire. The world's oldest skydiver has died at 103. At first I thought he died during the skydive. I thought, well, that's a shame, but he died 2 weeks after he made his record-breaking leap. So it's good that he did something that he really wanted to do. Only 103. That's fucking. You can't say the skydive killed him, can you? So his tandem divers probably sweating a sigh of relief. But he did a skydive 2 weeks later. He's died at the age of 103. So he did something he always wanted to do. So that's one of my good news stories. Just goes to show you can live your life all the way up until you've got no life left. He probably had a few other things he wanted to do, but that's he's ticked something off there. He's still at it. He was still keeping busy all the way till the end. Right, going to finish up on one more thing. What we got here? I forget where we are now. Oh, the giant chalk figure of a man, the world famous Kern Abbas giant. I didn't know it was called that. In Dorset, is 180 feet tall. Have you seen the picture? It's like the chalk man with a massive penis.
and people have been cleaning it this week. They've had workers out there. 17th century that's been there since. So you can imagine these like medieval people all sort of carving this huge penis and thinking, I wonder what people are going to think of this in the future. You know, or was it like, was that the fashion in those days? They must have been doing it for. You can't imagine somebody now carving something into the hillside with a massive, was it 36-foot erect penis for some kind of display. So it must have been quite a popular design in those days. So yes, but people were out cleaning the 36-foot penis, and there's about 10 people, and they're miles apart from each other, all like brushing, sweeping, and weeding the penis along this like hillside. So quite a sight to behold. That'll go down as one of their bucket list things, I imagine. They're going to be talking about that till they're 103. So if you ever want to do any penis cleaning before you croak it, if it's on your list of things to do, get yourself down to the Cern Abbas Giant this week, because they need volunteers. So right, I'm going to leave it there. It's been a long week. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Kind of see you all again next week. Bye.